And this pretty much ties with Stephen Covey's habit number 1, right, of a 7 habits of highly effective people, which is, it talks about being proactive, right? It's saying that the first thing we need to recognize in terms of the habits of highly effective people is that place where we are proactive about the issues of our life. We're proactive about the details of our life. We take charge of our life. We don't allow leave ourselves for things to happen to us, but rather we happen to things, right? We happen to life, not that we allow life to happen to us. We have an internal locus of control. That means we're not slaves to our environment. We're not slaves to the things happening around us, but we decide where we want to go, and we then attune everything inside of us, everything that we have, to take us to that place to achieve the mission, the vision for our life. So it's not about reacting, it's about responding or taking the first step towards where we want to go, right? And that's that place where we make a decision concerning our lives, right? Where do I want to be tomorrow? Where do I want to be today? Where do I want to be in 1 week's time, 1 month's time, 1 year's time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 15 years' time, 20 years' time, right? We take the proactive decision. We don't wait till things happen before we do what we need to do or what we want to do, right? So that's important, if we're going to make it in life. One of the things I've tagged our time here together, I've tagged it as a business school as much as I've tagged it as a school of life. So I'm saying here, like we shared last week, it's not just talking about business, we're talking about our life, because our life is our life is a business, right? Business is life, life is a business. Our mere living every day is a business. It's our business, our core business, the business of our life, right? And we need to make sure the business of our life is a success, right? Otherwise, we're failure, right? Our life itself is a business. And when we talk about here, we're talking about how to make the business of our life, our living, a success, right? So that's part of what we're talking about. I'm going to move to the next one. Toba, feel free to stop me at any time if you have any question. I know your audio is a bit struggling and all of that, but you can also send me a chat if you can't get the audio right. Okay. All right, great. All right, just going on to the next slide here. It's just something in Chris Gardner, it's someone who wrote a book and did a movie called The Pursuit of Happiness, and it was just a story of his life. And he recalled something his mother told him, which is also very true. When we say the Calvary is not coming, sometimes we leave expecting someone to come deliver us, right? And how much I don't like all this idea of destiny helper. I think it's not of God. I think it's of a devil. I think he encourages people to wish and not to be proactive. I don't find scripture that supports it. I think it's all coined by the devil. It's the fact that we are created to take charge of our life rather than sitting down waiting for a destiny helper. We're not called, we're not created to be wishing for someone else to take charge of our lives for us. We're created to be able to look at our life, see where we are, see where we want to go to, and begin to do what we can do today. Right? When we begin on the journey, God will give us everything that we don't have now, but we have to start from where we are, right? And God will help us while on our way. I love that saying of Abraham's servant. He said, while I was on my way, the Lord helped me, right? Not while I was sitting down, not while I was wishing, not while I was praying for destiny helper, but while I was doing what I could do, the Lord helped me. The Lord met me there. The Lord met me while I was making the best of what was in my hands, right? Not wishing, not, doing a pity party or anything of that, And as we are highlighting that in the slide here, it's a place where we take stock of where I am today. where I am today? Is this where I want to be? Do I like where I am today? What if I don't, then I need to understand how did I get here? What are the things I did wrong? What are the steps that brought me here that I don't like or I don't want to be? Learn from my history, right? Not cry, not take it as my hand. It's history. My history is my lesson, it's my school. It's not my destination, it's not my home. I learn from my history, right? And I then use that learning to take me to where I want to be, where home is, where my vision is, where my mission is, right? So it's taking stock of where I am. It's learning from my history and using all of the learnings and more learnings to get me to where I want to be, right? So that's important. That's the way we take charge of our lives, right? So, and that's something every successful person, does. Whether you be an entrepreneur, just a person, right? Then an entrepreneur or whatever else you want to add to it. A successful teacher, successful engineer, a successful businessman, whatever else you want to do to that. But it's just the attribute of someone who is successful. That person does not just sit down waiting for someone else to take charge of the affairs of their life, but they take charge, they lay hold of the affairs of their life and begin to move it, in the direction they want it and to the destination they want it to go, right? And and everyone gets to struggle, right? There's nobody that has a perfect life. Someone that's having a pity party will think, hey, everybody has it, it's only me. I was there when my wife was in a prayer meeting and someone was asking a question, does God love some people more than other people? That's what people get to think, that the devil brings that to people's mind when they're going through a hard time. It's like, oh, I've been forsaken, I've been forgotten, and all of that stuff. But that's nothing like that, right? We are all given equally according to our heating, according to our strength, according to our enablement. No one is shortchanged, right? Never believe a lie that you are shortchanged. You have everything that you need to become all that you want to become, right? You have everything that you need to become all that you want and need to become. You just need to start using it, right? Start using what you have. Don't wait for what you don't have. Use what you have and begin to take baby steps in the direction that you want, and you'll be surprised the miracle that you meet along the way. Miracles don't happen to people that just sit down and wait. Miracles happen to people that are already doing the best with what they have today, not tomorrow, right? Everyone struggles, right? No life is perfect, right? We're all pushing, including me, myself, sharing with you here. I've gone through my struggles in life. If you follow me on social media, you will see I share openly my struggles at different phases of my life, and is everything perfect today? Not yet even perfect, right? And I'm not looking for a perfect life, right? I used to be a perfectionist, right? I used to think everything needed to be perfect, but I haven't gone through 2 years of depression 2 times. I've learned not perfection is not the way of life, right? It's not perfection, right? It's about not pursuing perfection doesn't mean that I don't pursue excellence, right? I have a work ethic, I have ethics, and I have a heart for excellence. I have a heart for doing things right, right? So, but being a perfectionist is not the way of life. It's the way of the devil. It's the way of hell, right? It's the way of the proud, right? It's not about being perfect. It's about doing the best that you can do at every point in time, doing your part, doing your best, satisfying your conscience that you've done the most that you can do. That's a secret to life, right? So it's not about waiting for someone else to do things for you. It's about you doing what you can do at each point in time. And all that you need, you will get as you do the things that you can do, right? And that's just a secret to life. That's not to say you will not get help from people. Obviously, we all have strengths and weaknesses, make the best of your strength, and find people you can delegate your weaknesses to, or you can pay for. That's what we'll pay. You can hire someone to do your weakness, your things that you're not that weak, you're not that strong, you don't have a time for, or does not give you the biggest bulk for your money. You can delegate